Alright, what we have here is Mir Epps large street port semi-peripheral 3-rotor. We did pretty much everything. I mean, it's got the external lubrication. Now this does have a copper sleeve that runs down through the front plate, just in case it cracks the front plate across here. It doesn't leak oil everywhere. Now typically I would normally run this fitting out this side of the front plate here. However, like I did on this one, you can see I ran this one out of the main, this feed here, and that runs back to the oil passage back here, and then of course you got another oil feed here for the center plate bearing. Now the only reason why I did that on this one is because he wants AC and power steering, so we're going to give him what he wants. Anyway, but just as an extra precaution, we did relocate that to here, and the reason why we're doing that, and I get a lot of questions of why I run the external oil lines here. That's because there is a solid dowel pin that runs completely through that, and that passage is blocked off for that. So we have to bypass it, run the lines on the outside, and then block off all the passages here and here on the inside of the plates, which we did here on this one. As you can see here, there is no hole. It's kind of dark, but this way towards the light. As you can see, there is nothing in there anymore. So we bypassed that, and that's mainly because of the factory dowel pins are so tiny and small. Here's your factory dowel pin. And what tends to happen under heavy boost is this will rip out of the plate, and it literally only sits in this the third plate, the fat plate, by about that much. And I've seen many times where it'll just crack completely off, and of course you get oil going everywhere, and you just damaged the $3,000 plate. So we run that solid dowel pin across the top there, which deletes all that, and we bypass all the oil feeds all the way back. And this one also been plugged, and we just plug that. Now that is a copper sleeve running all the way through the rear oil passage here. Sorry, it's limited light. My light went out above my bench. Anyway, as you can see here, there's an oil passage that runs up through the plate through the back here, right here, and there's another one that runs straight to your main oil bearing here. And you can actually see the copper hose in that one. Runs all the way to your main oil, or your rear bearing main feed here. And that runs all the way through your oil pedestal here. So just in case he cracks the rear plate across here, he's got a copper sleeve in here, which that copper sleeve won't rupture. It may weep a little bit of oil, but it won't be as pronounced because he's going to be running like 138 psi of oil pressure. Now, from the bottom, kind of hard to do a 45 degree in here. So what I do is I put a copper sleeve in through here, and I chamfer it at an angle, and then I DevCon that in. Then I drill from the bottom up. So there's a plug down here, and then I put a copper sleeve up through here, and then replug the bottom. So that gets rid of that chance of that leaking oil and just destroying things. Versus, you know, it could mess up your E-shaft, which is very expensive as well. Also a safety hazard. If you know you crack it in third gear doing 130 mile an hour in the quarter, you got a problem. You got a bunch of oil underneath your back tire. So this just eliminates that issue, and then you know you don't destroy your crank or your E-shaft in the process. This you're just going to replace a plate. Much cheaper fix. Still a pain, but whatever. You know, better than the alternative. If you really want to be a baller, get a billet plate. You won't have this problem. Anyway, so if all that's done, we got our semis, our exhaust ports are all done and imported. We got our street port there, nice and clean. And we just got shot with some SI blue paint. There it goes, a little dusty. Go and clean those up a little bit. semis, and our exhaust ports. So this motor is pretty much ready to go. We're just waiting on the rotating assembly to get back from balancing, and Delta Apex is doing all the machine work on the rotors, and they will be fully face clearance, side clearance, and then balanced by Mazda Tricks. So yeah, pretty much that's the deal with that one. And then we got this one. This one's ready to go as well. We're just waiting on his E-shaft to get back, and it's on its way. We can go ahead and assemble this one. Now everything on both motors, as you can see, both have A and heater core lines and everything. This one, the same thing here. It's got a drilled and tapped AN fitting right there, and just has a factory crush sleeve. Now, as you can see, the bearing in this one is Teflon coated, and all the bearings and the E-shaft have been fully clearanced for this motor as well as this one. So we'll have some pretty stout 3 rotors coming out here soon. This one here will be getting a 93mm Pro Mod, and this one's running a SXE 91mm turbo as well. So one's going in FC, this one's going in FD. Stay tuned. Thanks. Bye.